Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with an action in Leghorn Street. We're now on to Leghorn Falls to the 5th Army. July 19th, 1944, a great port is captured. Lieutenant General Mark W. Clark gives a mass interview to a war correspondent in the streets of Livorno, more familiar under its anglicized name, Leghorn, as the port fell to the 5th Army. In the photograph below, the damage done to the ground, harbor, and port installations by the retreating Nazis is vividly revealed. In the weeks that followed, the harbor was cleared and the port became useful for not only Italian campaign, but the operations in southern France. So there, right there, we can see him talking to the war correspondents. And yeah, look at the harbor. The ground is all jacked up. It's crumbling certain places, things like that. They've left boats to slow down any repairing to the harbor and the port just in general. But the Allies will get it cleaned up, and like they said, it'll be pretty useful. The Allies find devastation in Leghorn. July 19th, 1944. The toll of battle. In the picture at top, a Hawaiian-American soldier of Japanese ancestry patrols a debris-strewn street of the Italian port, and below, other Hawaiian Americans ride Jeep patrol through the streets. The campaign in Italy, which included troops from a half a dozen nations, became more international in scope when an expeditionary force from Brazil joined the fighting on the 15th. Brazil was the first of our Latin American allies to send troops to the European war theater. She sent one division, or approximately 11,000 men. Or, my bad, 10,000. My eyes are playing tricks on me today. I very much apologize. That's interesting, though. You don't really hear much about the Latin American countries, mostly because they didn't do a whole lot during this war. Brazil would be the one, obviously, that most people would think of, because, well, like they just said here, they did send troops, but it's quite late in the war, really. But still, they did send troops. That's good. It's really nice to see that Brazil was like, hey, we're sending troops too. Obviously, the other Latin American country that people would talk about is Argentina, where there may or may not have been quite a few Germans that escaped there. So, I mean, heck, they found Eichmann, right, in the 70s there? So, Americans hit the beach at Guam. July 20th, 1944. Landings climax terrific bombardment. Smoke from the flames begun by shells and bombs hangs like a pall over Guam as fresh explosions thunder on the shores of the Japanese stronghold in the shattering prelude to Marine and Army landings, shown above. Below, U.S. Marines are shown moving in on Agat Beach past an upside-down Japanese dive bomber, destroyed by Navy planes, climaxing 17 days of unparalleled aerial and surface bombardment. The invasion got underway on July 20th. My bad. I apologize. It was on July 20th, but the reconquest was not completed until August 9th, 1944. The taking of Guam proved to be a major engagement, although it was not attended by as large a casualty list as at Saipan. So yeah, taking Guam, it is very important. It's a U.S. territory today. Don't remember if it was then. Someone correct me if someone let me know in the comments if you know. But yeah, it's interesting that they say that the casualty list is not as big as Saipan. It's not a bad thing at all. Less casualties are always good. That is for sure. The Americans returned to Guam. July 20th, 1944. The assault in full swing. The aerial oblique gives an overall view of one of the sectors hit by Marines and Navy-manned landing craft during the initial landings on this Pacific outpost. Smoke inland denotes targets smashed by aerial and surface bombardment of this island, which had been held by the United States for 40 years before December 10th, 1941, when it was conquered by the Japanese. At that time, it was defended by a handful of American Marines and a few construction workers. So I guess that answers my question. Never mind, you don't have to put it in the comments. Yeah, so there we go. It was a U.S.-held island, and Guam's not super big, if I remember correctly. It is a decent-sized island, but not the biggest by any means. But I'm sure the Americans are glad to be taking this back. The dead and wounded in Guam fighting. July 20th, 1944. Heavy fighting for Pacific stronghold. And the picture at top, a Navy medical corpsman lifts the head of a Marine wounded in the landings to give him a sip of cool water. Below, some of the Japanese warriors that were knocked out, because they're very strong, like Batman. They're knocked out, guys. I promise. I have to say this. I'm sorry. By U.S. forces during the early stages of the invasion are shown. The Marine photographer who took this picture knocked out 4 of the foe before his photographic duties. So yeah, quite a few men injured. Also, it's interesting, look at this Marine doctor here. He's got one cigarette in, he's giving him some water. He's like, here you go, buddy. But he's making sure not to put down his cigarette. The old and the new and Japanese premieres. July 20th, 1944. Cabinet shaken up. Oops. General Hideki Tojo, right here, Premier of Japan since a few weeks before Pearl Harbor, was dropped as Premier on July 20th, and General Kunaki Kosai, it might be Kosai, right there, and Admiral Mitsumasi Yonai, bottom, right there, were called by the Emperor to form a new cabinet. The removal of Tojo did not mean any change in Japan's fundamental policy. Koiso maybe, was named premier, and Yonai his deputy. The changes were made following American victories on Saipan and in the East Philippine Seas. So this is actually a big deal. The removal of Hideki Tojo. Pretty important, obviously, as we know. So his removal for Koiso, I believe is his name. And Yonai, pretty interesting. It's a big development, if I can turn the page. Attempt on life of Hitler. July 21st, 1944. Turmoil in the Reich. Adolf Hitler went on the radio Friday morning, July 21st, and announced that he had been conferring with his advisors when a bomb exploded 6 feet away, inflicting upon him negligible grazes, bruises, or burns. The bomb had been placed by Colonel Count von Stauffenberg, in a plot hatched by a clique of officers who wanted to kill Hitler, seize power, and make peace. 2 generals were supposed to have led the revolt, only one of whom was named, Colonel General Ludwig Beck. He was listed as no longer among living persons. To restore order, Hitler said he had appointed Heinrich Himmler, Gestapo chief, to be commander of the army within Germany. Reich Marshal Hermann Goering amplified Hitler's remarks by announcing that the plot had been hatched by it's Hitler and his gang, by the way, right here. Hitler had been hatched by generals who had been dismissed. One of them, General Walter von Bocht, is shown in the picture at left. This one, maybe? Yeah. Picture at left with Hitler in happier days. So there's that's one of them. In the picture in the upper right, so this one right here, obviously, or maybe this one right here. I don't know. Yeah, no. Sorry, it's sometimes when they put the where they are, they're not super clear. In the picture upper right, Hitler is shown as he met with his war chiefs a few days before the plot. Left to right, they are Field Marshal Keitel, so this guy right here, Admiral Donitz, that guy right there, Himmler, right there, and Field Marshal Milch, that guy right there. General Beck is in the picture at the lower left. There's General Beck. And at lower right, a close-up of the feared Himmler. The point which Berlin kept emphasizing was that the plot had been completely suppressed and that all the conspirators had been killed or had committed suicide. For the next few weeks, rumors continued to seep out of Germany, telling of a wholesale purge being conducted by the elite guard involving many arrests and execution of men in high places. Yeah, so this plot does get rid of a lot of important people. One of them being Erwin Rommel. Rommel didn't necessarily have a part to play in this plot, but there was some rumor or something, I believe, that he knew about it and didn't do anything, basically. And so he's given the responsibility to execute himself. So, yeah, it's pretty upsetting. Or not upsetting, but pretty sad, really. This is more than likely a lot of the people that were executed later definitely, probably, they were getting rid of people. But who's to say? But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.